Hey, you there! Get me some items in this store!
Sorry, Karen, I don't work here.
Oh, don't lie to me, or I'll get your manager!
Okay, fine. If that's how you want it, then let's play this game. Now, for every likes this video gets, one Karen will become smarter. So please, smash that thumbs up and notification buttons to save the world. To the story. Pour water on me, lose your money. This just happened to me last night. I just thought about posting it, waking up for all of you to get a kick out of it. So, I have a hobby-like job working for a casino party company. They get contracted by companies to come out and set up some casino tables so their employees can fake gamble just for fun during the parties and events. Most of the time, employees buy tickets, like one ticket for $50 and a ticket is worth $2,000 in fake chips. And that's how they play. You can then turn in your chips for prize tickets and go through a raffle to win prizes at the end. It's a lot of fun and easy money for someone in college like yours truly. We had a gig last night at a nice hotel ballroom for a really good company too. I won't list the name. We are required to dress in all black with a button-up shirt and slacks. We look just like the actual staff of the hotel, but with a name tag with our owner's casino parties text on it. So we can sort of see why I'd be mistaken for the hotel staff. Cue in a really good night, having fun, good people, good table dealing. I swap out with someone to freely take a break and walk about and grab a drink of water. Now, here's where it goes completely downhill. A what looks like to be 30 years old woman comes to me and asks for a refill on her drink. It goes a little bit like this, and we'll call her Thick Skull, or TS for short. Thick Skull.
Excuse me? Could I ask you to refill drink? I'll be right here.
Me? Oh, sorry, I don't work here. I'm one of the dealers at the tables. I can grab someone for you though. TS.
You are clearly in the waitstaff uniform. I know you work here. I've seen you help others.
Lied to my face. I was at my table all night. Me, I'm sorry, but I really cannot serve you. Let me grab someone who can.
TS. You do work here.
She stepped on my foot as I stepped away. I then took my foot back, and now I was a little pissed because I'm wearing some nice shoes here that I paid for, and I'm proud of that because I'm poor as crap. Me. Okay, look, I've told you I don't work here. You can find someone else. Hopefully you won't step on them. She now grabs the attention of an actual waitstaff member and asks her to grab manager, and she hesitantly does, and I was actually stunned. Me. You do understand I don't work here.
TS. Keep saying that to me. You'll regret it.
Here the manager came. Manager, everything okay, ma'am?
TS. This man refuses to serve me the drinks I ask for.
He looks at me, asked my name, and pointed on my name tag and told him he immediately knew I didn't work here. Manager, I'm so sorry, but he doesn't work here. Can I get you your drink? She freaks out at this like full-blown screeches.
TS. This is stupid. I'm not an idiot.
She proceeds to grab my water and flings it at me, and it gets all over me. Manager. Ma'am, we do not act like this here. I'm asking you to leave. Leave. She starts throwing what can I only say is a tantrum and then gets escorted out by the security they had on site. The table she was at had 10 of her tickets. 10. She also had redeemed some earlier too. That's over $500 spent with no prizes. She waited until after the party was over to speak to my manager, so about 2 hours when we were breaking down the setup, and demanded a refund. He denied her and said she can go on her merry way, and told her the exact reason she couldn't was because she dumped water on his employee and he won't stand for that. She stormed out after bickering for what seemed forever. TLDR, woman poured water on me in frustration that I didn't work here and was lying to her. Gets kicked out with no refund of over $500. I will never understand these people that think the manager is lying to them too. So entitled. On to the second story by u/comedian XMI. Karen versus retail veteran. Over the years, I've grown to loathe people who treat retail employees like garbage, and I go out of my way to make a fool out of them. So I'll share one story now. I worked for years in retail before switching careers. I went from dealing with people who ask for item based entirely on what the people in said items commercial were wearing to teaching children. And this is one story that makes me think the children are by far the smarter breed. For a while, I worked as a trainer for a very popular cell phone company. I would oftenly visit cellular careers and do events for customers and train employees on relevant new features and items. So I was almost always dressed very well. The most dressed down I ever got was a polo, dress pants, and dress shoes because I wanted to give a good and professional impression. However, my style of dress came with the greatest Karen bait known to man, a silver name tag. Beyond the hundreds of times I was mistaken for an employee while at the stores, this story takes place when I went grocery shopping after work one evening. That should be enough background, so on with the actual story. I had finished up later than usual and was browsing the groceries for the next couple of days at a semi-supermarket whose logo is a bullseye. I had a cart with several frozen items my wife loves, some snacks for my son, some dog food for my dog, and various other small things to carry me through. I was browsing some spices, debating on if I had enough of a few kinds to make chili, when I hear a faint noise behind me. I squeeze in a bit closer, trying to be sure I'm not blocking the aisle. No sense in being rude, right? A second or two go by, and my spider sense begins to tingle. And then, dear reader, I hear the dreaded sound that in the retail wilds is both terrifying and amusing, depending on how far away you're standing. Excuse me? Ah, yes, the mating call of the wild Karen. I turn around to see a specimen of at least 40 years trying desperately to be mistaken for her own daughter in what can I only assume was a pair of yoga pants, furry boots, a shirt that was strategically unbuttoned, and a huge pair of sunglasses acting as a solar panel for her "let me speak to your manager" haircut. My desperate plea for clemency in the form of our own ability to notice a mistake came immediately as I pushed my cart further away and swept my arm where I was standing. Sorry, didn't know I was blocking you. But, alas, this story would not have made it here if that was all she needed. Oh no. Karen did not want to graze the spice rack. She had used her cosmic powers on me without my realizing, you see. Because now, I was no longer shopping for dinner. I had been granted employment, and Karen was not pleased at my performance so far. Now, I need you to help me find some food item I don't want to malign by naming. I'm a smart butt by nature, you can tell, and my wife often jokes that I'm paid well to tell people where they can stick it and make them happy to hear it. But these skills are lost on the wild Karen. So is the fact that the store uniform is khakis and a red shirt, while I'm in a blue and white dress shirt, dress pants, and wearing a company logo jacket that doesn't remotely look like I'm an employee's. I decided to assume she's perhaps dazzled in bright lights with her solar panel glasses guarding her beady eyes, so I smiled and politely say, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." Her eyes narrow, not looking at the shining black of a shark, and the games have now begun. "You're wearing a uniform. Don't give me that!" Expletive deleted. "You can put up that garbage when you're done doing your job." My eyebrow rises, and in my head, I hear the ringside bell. Okay, Karen, game on. So, in my best, I really don't hope you're run over by a stray water buffalo voice and smile and I say, "What was it you needed help finding, ma'am?" I see the flinch. I said ma'am, and she didn't like it. Don't show weakness now. We have only started. But in the same condescending tone, she wails, "I need item, now show me to it." I nod, and push my buggy along as I head to the rear of the store. She doesn't look pleased that I'm bringing the buggy, but if she says anything she does so under her breath, I know soon enough she will have plenty to complain about. So I savor the moment where the only sound is the slap slap of her boots ricocheting off the floor and on the heels of her feet inside. I walked several aisles. After a dozen, she starts to huff and puff, and I can hear the faintest grumbling about what was
so hidden away, and why did she have to walk so far,
etc. Not directed at me, but I'm not deaf, so I can hear her childish tantrum just fine. Thank God, she cannot see the evil smile on my face. Passing the last row of groceries, I hang a left, passing seasonal, candies, luggage, travel, etc. She's behind me, in such a blurry huff of muttering anger. I don't know if she's questioning the material status of my parents, the life choices that brought her here, or both. But she's not happy, and it sounds more and more like a car that won't start and less like a person talking to herself. As we reach the book section, I wheel the cart right over and start down an aisle. Now, Karen is really angry.
Where are the deleted? Are you going? I'm looking for item. If you're too stupid for it, then maybe I should be talking to your manager.
This is drawing a crowd from the nearby electronics section. My plan is working out better than I'd hoped. I stop in front of the small children's section and grab a thin copy of what's basically a toddler's first spelling book. A few letters playing with a small child on the cover, and a title about learning the first few letters of the alphabet. Perfect. Walking back to the red-faced Karen, I offer the book. I don't say anything, I just extend my arm, showing her the cover. Like most people would, she takes off the book, looks at it, looks at me, and basically growls.
What the deleted is this? Are you deleted, stupid? Where is your manager? You are absolutely awful.
Her wailing has attracted at least 2 employees who seem to recognize the willy wills of the retail native Karen. One is on a small radio, calling who I assume is the manager, while another is coming our way with that terror in their eyes that only an entitled middle-aged woman with an attitude problem can cause. With a smile, I gesture to the book in her hands and say, in my absolute best customer service voice, "Actually, ma'am, I thought since you cannot tell the deleted differences between a customer and an employee, you must not be able to read. So, I figured this book can help." Stunned silence. The poor hamster that was responsible for the complex operation of powering the Karen was working overtime. So when the employee finally makes it to us, they are unaware of what I said, only that I was smiling in a customer service kind of way. Karen was still all mouth agape at what I said, and when they tried a polite greeting, "Hello, is there something I can help with tonight?" Karen was livid. She proceeded to throw the book at me, literally and figuratively, and start screaming. I dodged the book as her howls of rage wound up.
How dare you talk to me that way? I want this man's manager right now. He needs to be fired.
Oh no, she still didn't get the point. Maybe I should have started with an easier book. Dr. Seuss? Maybe something on tape? She hasn't slowed down, discussing like a rabid honey badger high on PCP, and somewhere in that string of expletives were words that vaguely made a caveman type sense. Short phrases mostly. The employee is trying desperately to put out the fire that is Karen. Her face is so red, I swear, smoke is coming from that horrible dye job. And the distant employee on the walkie is obviously begging for a manager or a priest. I step back, away from any failing pieces, and just wait politely, taking a second to text my wife that I was held up, and to expect a good story when I got home. Her response, because she knows me, "What did you do now?" I love that woman. When the manager arrives, they must have been fresh out of priest. The woman is pulled to the side and he speaks to her, trying to calm her down. The employee standing near me looks at me and, with a bewildered look, asks what happened. Not wanting to spoil the punchline, I was just kind of make a face and softly said, "Didn't the haircut clue you in?" "Oh, big mistake." The employee chirps with laughter. He quickly chokes off. I don't think he expected me to know the dorsal plumage of the wild Karen, but Karen has heard the sound and went from slowly lowering to a shrill of string of complaining back to seething anger. Once again, she all but frothed at her mouth. After a few minutes, the manager gets her to step aside and comes over to talk to me. He begins asking all sorts of questions and she obviously decides to embellish. "Why did you call her deleted? I actually didn't say. Did you throw a book at her? Were you following her?" Things like that. Things that could be claimed with the only loosest concept of reality. So, in a pleasant voice, I explained how I was shopping and she demanded I show her where an item was and refused to accept I didn't work here. This caused the manager to frown as he looked at me. He saw how I was dressed, and I think some light in his eyes actually died, probably realizing he had to actually think worse of humanity than just 5 minutes ago, and had it took another piece of his soul with it. I've been there. So I smiled and nodded as I see him reason out that I was basically kidnapped to find something for this woman, and all the tumblers in his mind seemed to fall into place. He must have seen this type of thing often enough to know what happened, or close enough. But I nod and say, since she cannot read, and might be colorblind, I got her a book on the alphabet instead. I figure if she knew how to read, it would fix all her problems. She threw the book at me, cussed like a sailor, and wants you to fire me. Maybe I should have forgotten something in crayon. The employee standing nearby is done for. He begins to laugh hysterically, fully belly laughs that send him retreating for the door to their back room nearby. Even as he fades from sight, I can still hear the echoes of his laughter. The manager, a seasoned veteran of the retail wars it seems, manages to make his initial chuckle sound like a disapproving grumble at the retreating employee, but the way his face scrunched up, I know full well he found it at least reasonably funny. Karen is mad that the employee is laughing, having at least the sense to know she's the butt of the joke, even if she didn't hear said joke. So score 1 for her situational awareness. So she starts over to us while the manager's poor soul begins to wither inside him. She's in full complaint mode. Corporate this. I know, experts in that. It all sounds like teacher from Peanuts. If you've been in actual retail before. Turning with an admirably straight face, the manager holds up a hand and silences her through his weird Karen charming powers. "Ma'am," again her eye twitches. "I'm going to have to ask you to stop mocking other shoppers and keep the volume down." A vein in her forehead begins to leave from the skin and do a little dance as she winds herself up for another tirade. "He was the one mocking me." She almost reaches around him, jabbing her $2.99 press-ons at me like the predatory talons she wishes they were. The manager, not happy with basically having her almost trying to wrap herself around him to get me, holds up his hand and in a very firm voice says, "Ma'am, you need to calm down. If you can't, then I'll have to ask you to leave." The blubbering, incoherent Karenism that followed don't translate well to text. And if I had thought I could get away with it, I would have recorded it with my phone. As it was, she protested, swore, threatened, and actually raked her arm down a shelf in a tantrum, knocking down almost everything as she screamed at the manager. And that's when I knew what was coming. She wasn't going to be asked to leave. Oh no! At this point, she was about to become a captive audience. The manager called someone in the clothing department and overwalked 2 women who, God bless them, managed to wrangle the woman and begin escorting her to the front. The employee, who'd walked away laughing, came over and escorted me back to grocery and told me that she was going to be detained and barred from the store. He was in a good mood, except maybe having to clean up her tantrum, and we joked about the vast level of stupid we'd been graced to see. A few minutes later, I checked out and was walking to the door when 2 police walked in, rather annoyed looking. I left with a smile on my face. Moral of the story, kids? Never inflict yourself on random people and assume they have to put up with your BS. You never know when you'll meet the crocodile hunter of Karens. Honestly, it is so easy to prove an employee is lying about working somewhere. Why don't more Karen of the world believe it when someone says they don't work someplace? That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.